This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Hey, welcome. Carm Capriato here, and I'm with Darrin and Ginger Barney. Now, they're a powerhouse husband and wife team, both at home and in their business, and it's not always smooth sailing when you work with your spouse, and many of you know that. Now, find out how they make it work and their advice to spouses considering working together. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and follow our newest podcast to the Aftermarket Radio Network. It's called Business by the Numbers, and is hosted by Hunt Demarest, CPA. Now, Hunt's podcast will provide a core understanding of the financial aspects and financial statements of running an auto repair shop. Got to know this stuff. Hey, thanks to our sponsors, Apex and Shopware, for providing this episode. You know, Apex 2022, they'll again feature Repair Shop HQ with you in mind. Now, that's right. This one-stop destination brings the product, equipment, and training needs of shop owners, managers, and technicians all in one place. It's happening at Apex 2022. Write these dates down, November 1st through the 3rd in Las Vegas. Be there. I'll be there. Listen for registration information soon. You know, joking aside, it's not just kids who are addicted to their phones. We buy food and almost everything else with a few quick clicks. Why not auto repair? Shopware's digital repair order makes it easy for customers to click yes. Learn more on the web. Talk to my friends at getshopware.com. So happy to have Darrin and Ginger Barney with me. I met Ginger for the first time at Apex, right, Ginger?
Yes.
And I said, wow, so you married way up, Darrin? And he goes, I did.
That's why he is who he is now. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you've already set the tone, Ginger, for a great episode. Thank you.
Well, you know what they say, you know, behind every great man is a great woman. And so I don't know about the great man part, but I definitely have a great woman behind me. So
if I could be half as much as my wife Ann is to me, I mean, she lacks every trait that I don't have. And if anybody knows me, they realize that it was really a match made in heaven. And sometimes there's friction because she wants it this way and I want it that way. But it's been 45 years for us. How long for you guys?
20 years.
Yep.
So Barney Brothers Off-Road and Repair, Grand Junction, Colorado, a huge business, a great business, a unique business because of your love years ago when you were a little guy for Jeeps, right?
Yep. Been a great outlet for us to go out and, you know, be able to help customers explore, you know, the backcountry and be able to enjoy the stuff that we've been doing since we were kids.
So you probably belong to a Jeep club, right?
No, sir. No. Don't belong to any of those. We support them.
I have a buddy here who, he just can't wait to tell me about his weekend, jaunts.
We love going four-wheeling a lot, but it's really hard to be devoted to one club when there's multiple clubs. You got to choose favorites, all this other stuff. So we found that we just we can go with any of them. We don't belong to any of them, but we support them all. But yet we don't, not officially tied to one. So that way we can go to one or the other and not have to pick sides. So we learned that early on.
You sound so much like me, since you're in the business to help Jeep owners, and I'm in the business to bring business acumen to the industry. So I love every coach. I love every shop owner. I love every supplier because there's knowledge in them, their hills. And for you, there's opportunity. And it's a great way to be. Great way to be. Just thinking after I saw you guys, this is, wow, we got to do a husband and wife. I haven't done a husband and wife interview in so damn long. Let's guess, Darrin, because you're a part-time coach for Elite. Let's guess how many shops out there, what percentage of shops, husband and wife, work together in the business?
I don't know. A lot of my clients that I currently have are husband and wife, probably closer to 50.
I would guess 50.
Then let's throw that up. Even if the wife, Ginger, isn't involved on the day-to-day, she's involved.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's your world,
When you own a business or you're a manager of a business, it is your life, whether you want it to be or not, and it comes home with you. It's something that is so important, and I got to stress this point right away because Ginger and I had to learn this early on. We had a coach that told us, his name is Kevin, Kevin from Elite.
Kevin Vaught.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love the guy. But he told Ginger and I, when we first started working together, he says, Darrin, you and Ginger have to leave the shop at the shop. He said, what'll happen is, he said, you guys will spend your lives building this business. You've been doing it for all these years. And if you're not careful, what'll happen is you'll sell the business, you'll get out, and you'll have nothing to talk about. And he said, it will destroy your marriage. He said, it can do so many things. He said, you have to learn that when you leave, You leave the shop at the shop. We don't do that always. Of course not. There's no way to always do that, but we are very intentional. We go on long trips. We just got back from a cruise, and very intentional to not discuss work. We'll talk about dreams and futures of the business and things that we want to do, whether it be with Elite, whether it be with Barney Brothers, whatever we've got currently going on. We're going to talk about the future, but we're not going to get wrapped up in the mundane stuff that drags us down. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Ginger, when he brings it up while you're on vacation, is it you that has to say, I thought we had an agreement?
Usually what happens is he'll start talking about it, and then I'll put in my 2 cents, and then he stops himself and is like, no, I don't want to talk about work right now. No.
Why are we doing this?
And he kind of gets mad at me that I was talking about work, but he started it.
Guys, when you're passionate about what you do, your business, your people, your customers, and all the stuff that you do, Darrin, to help other shops, I guess my big question is, how do you turn it off?
Well, I'll answer that for Darrin. He does have a really hard time turning it off. Really, really hard time. And so one of the qualities I love about Darrin is he also has a lot of hobbies he enjoys doing, whether it's playing his guitar or working out. We have a few acres. We have some cattle and animals and things, and going out working in the barn and driving his tractor around. He has a lot of other outlets that he enjoys doing. And when he doesn't have time for that or make time for that, it really affects him as far as his happiness and his ability. So I think that it's important to have other things in your life other than just the business.
I have 7.5 acres and I don't have a tractor.
You need a tractor.
I live way in the country, in dairy country, and when I drive past people's homes, they have 1 acre and they have this really cool little tractor. I say, why him and not me?
You just got to take that plunge and get one, buddy. $2,500. You can get an 8N and you can be on your way. So
$2,500.
Yeah.
What can you buy for that? What kind of tractor?
You can get a really good Ford 8N. They're great tractors.
Doesn't have a bucket though.
Yeah, you can get anything you want. Implements on Facebook Marketplace. You can get anything you want. I have a postal digger. I've got a front bucket. I've got a rear blade. I've got box scraper. I mean, anyway, yeah.
I have tractor envy.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm bringing this up. This is wild.
Yeah. But Ginger has a great point, though, is that you hear these big motivational people, they'll talk about, you got to leave your work at home and you got to do that. And it's like every successful person I know doesn't always do that. We try really hard. I mean, I literally have to turn my phone off and not look at emails, because otherwise I'll be sitting there on the couch and we'll be hanging out with the kids and I'll be talking with them. And then I'll get a notification. I go look at it. I get sucked into that world. And all of a sudden I'm disappearing in the office and working, so I'm really careful to not look at my phone too much. I mean, I know this is basic and elementary, but it's one of those things that the basics of keeping the phone away so that I don't look at it. Otherwise I get sucked back in and my brain goes, okay, I'm going to go attack this problem. I'm going to go fix this. So yeah, I got to really pay attention. When I'm with that family, or I'm out in the garage working on the tractor, or I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. I mean, I love spending time with my kids, highlight of the day, and going and spending time with them. And I've got to make sure that I'm intentional,
Hey, Carm here. Coming up, Darrin and Ginger give advice to anyone considering working with their spouse. Hey, you put your heart and soul into your work every day, but the automotive aftermarket moves fast, and staying competitive means staying up to date on the very latest training, new systems, and new products. At Apex, the Automotive Aftermarket Product Expo, Repair Shop HQ is dedicated to the service professional and is committed to pulling together some of the best training sessions to grow your technical and business knowledge. The training is especially for technicians, service advisors, and owners. And inside of Repair Shop HQ is Joe's Garage. Now, Joe's Garage is set up with 10 bays and working lifts to demonstrate new equipment and tools and to demonstrate new technology. Besides the latest tools and equipment, discover the latest in management and marketing tools and dedicated sections for tires, alternative fuels, diagnostics, and telematics. If you experienced Repair Shop HQ last year, you'll get even more in 2022. Listen here for the latest information on Apex, November 1st through the 3rd, 2022. Hey, for more information, visit aapexshow.com. As much as you love the shop routine you have now, I'll tell you that switching to a cloud-based shop management system will pay off in more ways than you can imagine. Not only will you let go of bad habits that cost you money, you'll free up more time for your techs to fix more cars. Your quotes will be quicker and more accurate, and you'll make more money per part than you ever did before. Hey, we all know time is money, and when you streamline your day, you waste less time on repetitive brain drains. Start fresh by going to your favorite browser and looking up getshopware.com. And the orange Book a Demo button will set you on a journey for more profit and less stress. You'll never look back. On the web at getshopware.com. I wrote down be present, and that's really hard for a lot of people to make sure that you're in the moment, be it with a child or a spouse or out to dinner with friends, and they see you, oh, look at where his eyes are. He's out dreaming about, the business or doing something and learning to be present. But I loved the turn off the phone, Darrin. OMG. I mean, to me, is that one of our biggest time sucks?
Of course.
Yes.
We're used to getting those little dopamine connection in our brain that says, hey, all right, I'm doing something, I'm making decisions. And but it takes us away from the most important things, which are the people in front of us.
You guys have kind of hinted toward taking time for your relationship, but what does relationship mean to you guys?
That's a big question. I think relationship has a lot of different layers to it. For us anyways, we have our work relationship, and then we have our family relationship, and then we have our personal one-on-one relationship with each other. And that's kind of where we have to balance out all of those different things to make sure each one is getting the quality and the time, attention that it needs. So at times we'll, like, for example, the Elite Invitational that's coming up, we're going to go to it, but we'll stay either a few days before or a few days after just to have some couple time, some time alone with just Darrin and I to just be together. And then we really like to go to events like that because that helps our work relationship. So we're on the same page and we know where we're coming from and helps gives us ideas and kind of relight the fire on the work side of things. But at times we find we have to combine those and just make it work because there's only so much time.
Combine them and then carve out. What I'm hearing you say, hey, let's go to the Invitational, but let's also find some time for us. You got to nurture all the relationships that you have. Do you ever sit back and say, look at a scale or a chart and say, we have not done enough family stuff at this point in our life, or, hey, over there, hey, you over there across the table from me, you do know I love you, and maybe you haven't said it in a while.
Right.
Of course.
That's got to hit home.
Yeah, it's totally a work in progress, and it's something that you have to continually work on. And there's times when work has to come above everything else. And then there's time that family, your kids need you for whatever reason is going on in their world. So you have to put them first. And then there's times when you do look across the table and you're like, I don't even know this guy anymore as my husband. Like, we really need to reconnect again. And it's just something that you have to be aware of and continually work on.
You're paying great dividends to the industry who needs to hear this. It's probably the 800-pound elephant in the room in most relationships that exist like yours. And I'm not sure they know how to start the dialogue or where to go to get help for it. But this episode's going to, I think, do a lot of great things. I have met people, Darrin, in conferences that came up to me, and they said, you helped save our marriage because on our way to work and our way home, we would listen to the podcasts. Not only we were learning about business, we were looking about, relationships, and we looked at each other and says, why aren't we doing this? And so I think this is going to go a long way, Darrin.
There's something really powerful, though, your spouse or yourself speaking up and saying, you're not being very present with me or the kids. At first, when Ginger will tell me that, it always is like, what? Come on, I'm working my butt off here, and I got all these different things going on. But then it's like, okay, she's right. And then I start really paying attention and making sure that I make those eye contact with my kids first thing in the morning, and that I have that quality connection with each one of them each day, and that I have time with my wife. I am an achiever. I get stuff done. I love doing what I do. And so to have somebody to remind me, it's like, hey, you know what? We're still here. Ginger has told me that. She's like, you know what? You're here, but you're not here. I need you back again. And she will. She's told me that. She tells me that quite often. And I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Boom. Okay. You got it. And then my brain starts thinking about that. And I look for ways to connect with her to make sure that I'm still keeping that part of the relationship going.
Well, Ginger, he's got it in him. He just has to refocus or realign.
Right. And I think that's also one of the essential things that Darrin has taught me over the years is he can't read my mind. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what I need unless I tell him. And so those times when I'm like, Darrin, you're not here. Where are you? I need you. It's important to communicate that with your spouse, both the husband and the wife, because neither one of us are mind readers. We don't know. And when we're so wrapped up with what we're passionate about and what's in our face at the moment, we sometimes forget to look outside of ourselves and see what other people need. So it's important to verbalize that and tell your spouse what you need.
Okay, so you missed a point, Darrin. Ginger says, come on, man, get on board. If the ego is strong, they're going to think that no one can tell me what to do.
This is a breakthrough for us recently. It really was, because Ginger's been afraid to tell me things for quite a while. I just overreacted. It's like, come on, I've got all this stuff going on. What do you expect from me? But we've I've told her, it's like, you got to understand, I may do that at first. That might be my first reaction, but I need to know so I can fix it. If you don't tell me, I can't fix it. So it's like, okay, boom. It's like, what are you kidding me? And then it's like, okay, then I'm getting better myself at toning that down too. But then it's like, okay, she's right. I need to fix that. Okay, no big deal at all. Boom, boom, boom. Work it into the next thing and trying to make sure that I'm where I need to be.
I'm really relating to this a lot, and the word is Darrin saying to Ginger, help me, because I'm going at 902 miles an hour, right? Because you're an achiever. By the way, Darrin, if that's one of your Clifton Strengths Finders, achievers in my top 5 too. So you're going 900 miles an hour. And if the pact between Ginger and Darrin are just tap on the shoulder, hit the head, and remind me I'm supposed to be doing this over here and that and paying attention to that and being present over here. I'm a kind of guy who says, help me live that other part of my life that I need to live.
Exactly it. A lot of the very successful shop owners, business owners that I know of that I work with, including Bob and Karen Cooper, are a couple that love what they do. I can't imagine doing what I do in life with all these different things I got going on without having my spouse right there with me. Because, my goodness, that's how I've been able to achieve so much fun stuff, is because the fact I've got a partner with me that's helping me do all of this stuff. So that when I'm going 900 and some miles an hour and I drop things, she's there and she says, hey, let's put this back on. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Boom, let's keep going. It's a teamwork. There's some magic that happens when you've got your spouse or a partner involved with you on the journey. It makes it so much more rewarding. I'll never forget that when we first started, we starved. 2 or 3 years, 5 years, we starved. Literally, I remember eating pizza, and it was a big deal to eat pizza.
Seriously.
But you go through that together, and then when you have these rewards of actually doing this for 20 years and paying my dues, and we've worked together, we've starved, we've done all those things, and then to be able to actually have some rewards down the road where it's like, wow, we actually have the money to do this. It's cool because you've done it together. You've worked together, and it even rewards you and it makes you want to do more together as a team, because it's like you got the magic there.
Are you inspired, Ginger?
I am.
You've been in the musical your whole life here now for 20 years.
Right. And it's a roller coaster. No matter what you do in life, you never know what's going to throw at you. But owning a business is a roller coaster. And Darrin's right. It helps so much to have somebody that has your back no matter what. Listening to Darrin's some clients that he's talked with that are husband and wife, and some of the things they struggle with is not having each other's back. Something that I feel is really important to help through this journey is to make sure you support each other 100%. And you may not always agree, but in front of your employees, you back each other 100%, then you talk about it later. Just like with your kids. You have to back each other. And
that is so powerful. Ginger, I agree 100%. I'm sorry to interrupt. I really am.
You're good.
But it's just like, oh my goodness, you nailed it, because my clients that struggle are the ones that don't support each other. If there's weakness in that foundation, I have clients that fight with each other, and they'll fight in front of employees. And I'm like, you can't do that. You just can't do that. You take it in the back office and you yell and scream at each other. You go for a drive, whatever it is you need to do to vent to each other. I don't care. But you do not do it in front of your client or in front of your staff, because you're creating a whole feeling of uncertainty. And just like with kids, we'll have little light disagreements in front of the kids, but if we're going to really need to have a big discussion, we're going to go for a drive and go on a date night and go talk things out. You've got to be so careful, because your customers are affected by that. Everybody's affected by that. You've got to have each other's back. Sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to interrupt it.
Oh, no, you're good.
Really passionate on that one because I have clients literally they'll be yelling at each other on the phone. We'll have our phone calls and I'm like, okay, you guys, let's hit the stop button right now. You guys are going to have to work through this before our phone call because I'm not a therapist and you can't do this in front of your customers. You can't do it in front of me. You can't do it in front of your employees. It doesn't work. You have to have a united front.
The idea of having each other's back is probably the biggest takeaway here when it involves couples. No matter if the spouse works in or not in the business, it still comes home. There's probably armchair quarterbacking that's done inside the home that says, you don't know what you're talking about to the husband. And no matter what relationship the spouse is working in or not in the business, the point is that someone will have an opinion even though they didn't live that life. They'll have an opinion for you, right? So here's my question to you. Where do you find the time during the day if you don't take work home? If you don't take work home, that's the big if. But where do you find time during the day where you get the heck out of the business or go in the locked chamber somewhere and just talk about issues and strategies and people and business and growth, purpose and vision? I mean, if you don't do that in front of your people, you need to do that together. Where do you find that time? Where do you go?
For us, we find it whenever we can. We're very fortunate that we share an office at the shop. And so we're always in the same room together. Not always, but most of the day we're in the same room together. And so as things come up, we try and talk about them pretty quickly so that they don't escalate. I think that's important if you have an issue, you have a problem, you need to resolve it, find the solution and move forward. Other things tend to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So a lot of times throughout the day, we'll just shut the door and deal with what's going on. And I think that's important. And I think that we're very fortunate to have that space in our business to be able to do that. Previously, we didn't have that. And like Darren's mentioned, we'd go for a drive. We'd go to lunch together. Sometimes just a 5-10 minute, we're going to go on a test drive and go talk and deal with something privately and then come back. But it's important. You just have to make that time. It's not something that's going to be there. It's something you have to make the time for.
And that's where you're saying that we're very fortunate that we have this, but we designed it that way. And if we were to build another building and do a new thing, we would still have our own office together. Mm-hmm. It's just something I love. I love in the mornings. She comes in. I get here every day at a certain time, and I'm here first thing in the morning. I love to be here before the rest of my team. And she comes in later after dropping the kids in and doing the stuff that she does. And I love it when she gets there. She comes in, she says, how's everybody doing today? And how's the culture? And we talk about things, and we talk about stuff that we both want to talk about. It's not work. It's not a pain. It's just, we love what we do. So we talk a little bit about it. And then, she goes and does her work. I do my work. And then we'll talk a little bit about things that are going on. I'm very talkative. I love to get my emotions out and talk about everything that's going on in my brain. It makes me feel better. And so, and she sits right here to my right. And so she hears everything that's going on and we just talk and I just tell her what's going on and she just gives me a little bit of advice. I keep going and I ask her what things are going on there. And we work through things. We're a team. We're united together.
Darrin, having known you for a few years now and just listening to that, you get your energy from people.
I do. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Ginger, are you kind of opposite where you need quiet time to re-energize?
I'm much more of an introvert than Darrin, for sure.
Yeah, and me and my wife are like that. And so if we're boxed in a little bit for a while, I tell her I got to get out.
Yeah, that's what Darrin is.
We have it set up just like how we want it. So every day at noon, Ginger leaves and I leave. And then I've got my home office where I do all my afternoon work. I do a lot of things from home. And Ginger will go do kid stuff and do what she needs to do. So we're together, but we also have time apart. If we were together all the time, we could do it. But it's kind of nice to get a little bit of just, we drive separate cars. We just have our own individual lives, but we're still together. A lot of my clients are like, how can you guys work so close together? And it's like, I love working beside her. She's me, but yet we're still individuals. When I get home and I'm out in the garage, she's nowhere around. She's doing what she wants to do, or I'm in the studio or whatever I'm doing. We're two different people there.
Knowing each other's roles is so critical. I don't think you could run a business if both were totally in charge of everything. So how has that been important?
Oh, goodness. Roles are really important.
Since we've been doing this for so long, we've kind of just worked it out over the years. We definitely try and use each other's strengths, make sure that what we're in charge of or what we take care of is good for us. We're very different people, like everybody is. And so we have different strengths and different things we enjoy doing. And that's worked really well for us because we do have different areas that we focus on. But yet at the same time, if one of us is gone, then we know each other's roles well enough that we can step up and take over when needed.
Carm, that's something that I talk to with my clients if I work with a husband and wife relationship, or even two brothers or whatever, because I work with my brother too. It's so important that you each know what your roles are. And that way it's black and white. I'll always tell clients, like, get a big bulletin board and sorry, I've got my wall over here. And I would literally, you divide it up and you say what exactly is your responsibilities and what exactly are my responsibilities. And there's no gray area. Exactly black and white, what you're over. It helps out so much because you've got those boundaries, you got those parameters, what you're in charge of. And then if I'm busy and I got a lot of stuff going on, Ginger knows that she may have to step over and take one of these responsibilities for me to cover, or vice versa. If she has something going on, she had to go and fly and spend some time with some family. And it's like, she was out of the picture for 5 days. And I knew that, okay, this is what I need to do to cover to make sure that her positions are covered. The most important parts are.
Well, and I think that helps as far as your relationship with each other too, that what the expectation is of each other. If I don't know what Darrin's expecting of me, then that can cause conflict when I don't do it, because I didn't know that he was expecting me to do whatever it is. And then that causes issues. And
that board or writing it down really gets everything out in the open, because if you don't write it down, there's all that gray area and something's going to get missed. You're going to assume that somebody else is going to take care of that. That's why, once again, even with brothers or partners, whatever, you need to know exactly what is everybody's responsibilities.
Spouse or not, Darrin, if your shop manager wasn't there for vacation or whatever reason, somebody within the company just can't ignore the fact that it's a key position. Just common sense for me.
It is. I agree.
You have an opportunity to sit down with a couple. They're ready to either buy a shop or they want to start one. And they said, hey, listen, we heard you on Carm's show. It was inspiring. It was great. I know you told us some really good stuff, but what would be the first most important thing that we as a couple have to consider before putting our name on signing on a dotted line?
You have to make sure, first of all, that you can work with that other person. There's some husbands and wives that can't. We're one of the few that can, and we can work together all the time. We can spend all our time together and we're okay. You've got to make sure that up front that both couples want that. When we first started the business, it was my brother and I, and my wife was a school teacher, and she came and joined us and helped out. She wanted to help out. She didn't want to quit school teaching, but she saw a need to help these two brothers make this business work. And so she came in and was the glue that made sure that bills were paid and that, things were taken care of. And so you have to be able to work together. If you can't work together, you can't force it. You just can't.
So I'm going to assume that's first great bit of advice. And can I offer, based on what I heard today, the second bit of advice could be know your role?
Oh, yeah, of course.
The relationship's important and the work-life balance. But if both want to go in and be a point of the plow, it's probably not going to last.
It won't. There has to be one leader. It's just how it works. You're both leaders, but there has to be that you're hearing it from the leader here. The point of the plow, like you said, there has to be one person that's in charge, but everybody here in my shop, and Ginger knows that she has just as much pull as me, but I'm the final go-to.
I think it's critically important. I mean, if there was a husband and wife, a 50-50, and they had to make a decision, you were yes and you were no, somebody has to be the tiebreaker, like it or not. And then that person has to support the decision.
And something I would say, going back to what Darrin said, a way to kind of test that is, how do you do when you're working on a project at home? Like if you're doing some remodeling or you're working in the yard, anything that you're working together, how does that go? Like, are you able to work together for a common goal and be successful without getting frustrated or angry with each other? Can you do that successfully? And if the answer is no, this probably is not a good idea for you.
It's not a good idea. So that's a great point, though.
I want to give a really cool example of working together on a home project and knowing your strengths. Carm, I want to paint the bedroom. Great, honey. What colors are you picking? And then she brings me the swatches. By the way, I'm terribly colorblind. She has to pick my ties and my shirts and all that stuff. I mean, truly, red is red, maroon is red. Okay, that's me. Even though I may have an opinion, I have to recognize that I cannot make that decision. That goes to, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses. So where do you find the time to be a part-time coach for Elite?
Oh my goodness. Just structure my day. So, because I do a lot more with Elite than that. I do sales training and I do all kinds of other stuff with them. I have about a 40-hour work week with Elite along with my shop, not to mention, being involved in the young men's organization and my kids and everything else. I'm just very structured with my time. I literally have a notebook that I live out of, and my Google Calendar, everything is just like synced, where I literally have everything down to the 15 minutes of my day. And it's just because I love doing what I do. And if Elon Musk can run 2 companies, I'm not saying I'm Elon Musk, but if he can run 2 companies, very successful companies, and do all the things that he does in life, it's like, it was really inspiring to me when I read his book, and I'm like, okay, why can't I do that? And so it's just a matter of structuring and just doing the best you can and having a very supportive and strong wife right there beside me and helping me, because without her, I couldn't do this. There's no way. Because there's times where I'm gone, I fly and I'm gone, and I'm in San Diego for 5 days, and she steps in and does everything that I do. The important points, the little things can fall through and I can get them when I get back. But the important parts of feeding my team and being a part of that, she does all that.
You're not riding on that tractor enough, so I'm just going to come out and get it.
Yeah, I know, right? That is something that I got to work on more, is I've got to work on figuring out how to get a little bit more of that free time. And Ginger and I were just talking about that. We were on vacation. We got back, and while we were there, we were talking about how I can schedule more free time to myself to be able to ride my tractor around and putz around in the garage. And so that's now a matter of we figured out how to block some time out during my week and move a few other things so that I have that time.
You figured it out. To a point where you're not only running a great business and have Ginger so solid on your side, you're doing other things for the industry by being a coach and working with Elite. Amazing that you have this much going on. Do you ever see your partner, Ginger?
Remember, she works right here. So,
and if I didn't work right there, it would be tough.
There you
go.
Our
relationship, as it is, I'm grateful that I work with them, because then I do have some time. And those 5 minutes in between calls or here and there mean the world.
Yeah. How cool is that? Thank you both so much for really bringing a side of the husband, wife, the spouse, the partner in life, the partner in business, and that whole. You answered some really tough questions, and I'll tell you, I know the industry will appreciate this, and I think they can learn from everything. Any final words to share?
I just think it's important in any relationship that you take time to listen, to understand, and make sure you're taking that time to talk and communicate with each other, because that's the key in any relationship, is to be open and honest and listen to each other.
I agree, Ginge. You got to start with the end in mind. And so what that means is that with my relationship with Ginger, I have very, very strong goals of where I'm going to be someday. And one of those dreams of mine is walking on the beach with her, holding the hands, walking on the beach together and enjoying the life that we've had together with our grandchildren and playing on the beach. It's one of those things that just inspires me, right? The other one is that I'm going to have a cabin that's up in the mountains, and we're going to celebrate Christmas up there. And I can hear the grandkids coming down the stairs. Sorry, I get kind of emotional, but it's a big pull for me, and that's what keeps me going. Is it's like watching these grandkids come down the stairs and celebrating Christmas together in this cabin with this strong family and enjoying material success as well that allows us to have all this land in this cabin. That's what keeps me pushing every day. That's what keeps me going and keeps me wanting to do as much as I do, because it's like I got these goals where this is where I want to be someday.
You're in the cabin and you're on the beach because you don't have to think about work, right?
Correct. You got to start with that, though. If you're a husband and wife working together, you need to really know where that end game is, where you're really wanting out of this life.
I think that's huge, by the way. So many people start up who left a business and looked at an owner that had stuff, okay? Who knows how successful they were, but they had stuff, and that material stuff looked like it was important. So they went and did their own business, and they robbed from Peter to pay Paul. They struggled. They put their ego, I can do this, and all of a sudden they owe the government all kinds of money, and 5 years later they're out because they weren't patient enough. They weren't studious enough. They weren't open enough. And we're going into all the issues we have inside of our industry to help elevate it and get people out from the bottom up to the top. Thank you so much, Darrin Barney, Ginger Barney. So well appreciated. I'm honored to have you guys here. Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.